Good afternoon. The time now is 12:30. I'm Julie Broughton. This is Take 6. We're so happy you're spending a little bit of time with us on this first Friday of 2025. And along with the new year, a lot of you have probably made some New Year's resolutions, and those can include financial goals. So coming up in just a few minutes, News 6 anchor Lisa Bell will be here with us, and she spoke with CBS business analyst Jill Schlesinger and has some tips for us on how to achieve our financial goals in 2025. Make sure we're doing everything right to take care of our future self. So that's coming up. Also, we have been talking a whole lot about the cooler weather. When you stepped outside this morning, some of you were in the low 40s, and we are talking about another cold front moving through later today, which will bring us another blast of cool air for the weekend. So I will have your full forecast for you coming up in just a few minutes as well. I will tell you it's going to be some of the coolest weather we've seen in about 7 years coming up for us as we head through the next several days. But first, if you've been with us on News 6 for the last couple of days, you've heard us talking a lot about the case of a missing Brevard County woman, Katia Balea. She had been missing for 10 years. And just over the last few days, a company called Sunshine State Sonar was able to locate her remains in a retention pond just a few miles from her home, give her family that closure of being able to bring her home as we move into the new year. And this company is actually a new company. It's only been around for the last couple of years, and their mission is to find missing persons in cold cases. So they work with families and law enforcement agencies. So joining us now to talk more about how all of this works is Mike Sullivan from Sunshine State Sonar. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So we'll talk a little bit more about the most recent case you solved in Brevard County coming up in just a few moments. But for folks who aren't familiar with your company, tell us a little bit about how you got started and how things work for you.
Yeah, I mean, this company's made up of my brother and I and a bunch of our friends. We just got together. We were inspired by some guys doing this on YouTube, and we bought all the equipment, and we just started researching all the missing persons cases in our state. Here in the state of Florida, and we had at the time it was close to 90 something cases. These are cold cases where people went missing and their vehicle has never been recovered. These cases are 5 years or older, and we just started chipping away at them, picking cases on the list. And I thought it would be kind of cool if we solved one case. In January 6th, 2023, we solved our first case, and then from there it was we just kept going. And here we are 15 people later in less than 2 years. It's been kind of surreal. I don't think any of us predicted, something like this was going to happen. So.
And it's incredible. And I know you spoke with our reporter, Stephanie Rodriguez, yesterday about the missing mother in Brevard County, Katia Balea, that you were able to locate. And you found her submerged vehicle just a few miles from her home. And you said that you searched more than 30 bodies of water. Talk about the process of where you start and how you kind of map out what exactly you're going to be doing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so Shelly's she's kind of like the we always call like the offensive coordinator of our operations. So she's a master at all this Google Earth and satellite mapping and stuff. And so, we look back at the 2014 imaging on Google Earth, and from there we come up with a game plan. We get information from the detectives, from the family. We reached out to both in this case. And we kind of try to zero in on a particular area that we believe most likely that she would be. The cell phone ping that the detectives gave us was, that she was south of Fisk, and she was going to be east of Powerline Road. So knowing that, we started picking bodies of water. There's hundreds of bodies of water in this area. We started closer to her home and working out. It took us, about 48 hours to find her. We worked on it, 2 days. It was the end of the second day when we located her.
And you are all volunteers working on this, and you said you worked about 48 hours. These are not small jobs. This takes a lot of time away from your personal lives, everything you have going on. Talk about why this is so important to you to bring these missing people home.
Yeah, it's so rewarding, and there's such a need for it. And we always say, if we don't do it, who's gonna do it? Who's gonna go out and search for somebody that's been missing 50 years or 40 years? Not many people. We do. We're all family, oriented people. My brother's got 6 kids. I have 2 kids. Shelly's got 2 kids. We're all parents. And we take time away from our families to do this stuff. We're so dedicated to it, and it's so rewarding knowing that you made a difference in these families' lives, and that's what it's all about for us. Knowing the impact that we made, and as we go, yeah, it's very emotional stuff too. The emotion comes along with it. I mean, we find these people. We cry too. It's
Mhm.
knowing that that person was there for all those years, and you feel for the families.
Yeah. And do families reach out to you? Is that how you start select some of these cases? And then when you locate people, are you in contact with the family? How does that work?
Yeah, a lot of times the families do reach out to us, and sometimes law enforcement reaches out to us, and other times we may just pick a case off our list. Like I said, we've ruled out all the other missing persons cases, and we've kind of locked in on the ones where the vehicles are missing, and so we chip away at those cases, and sometimes what happens is the family actually gets whiff, whether it's through a social media posting or something like that, that we are working on their loved one's case,
Hmm.
and then we get contacted by them. So
Hmm.
it's all different ways that we have relationships with these families, how they contact us or
Yeah.
we contact them, and yeah, they're all different. Every circumstance is different. So
To have solved 15 cases in about 2 years, you said you thought if you solved one case, that would be really cool. What do you think makes your organization so successful in this mission?
yeah, I think one of the biggest thing is we've developed a great system. I would say we're able to put down a massive amount of suppression fire in an area. When I say that, what I mean is we can go into an area. We just went into Jacksonville on a case, a guy missing with dementia. We were able to search 84 bodies of water in one weekend. Any other sonar team or law enforcement team, that's probably a year's worth of work. We have a very tiny boat. We're very good at reading reading the sonar readings. As I said in one of the other interviews I did earlier today, sonar is not cut and dry. People have this misconception that we're riding around in our little tiny boat, and if we see a vehicle, it just pops up on the screen, and it looks like a cartoon of a car. It's not like that at all. We're looking at shadows, and we're trying to interpret those shadows, whether it's a rock, whether it's a huge berm down the bottom, a log, a tree, a sunken boat. It could be, a variety of things. And to be able to determine what is a car or a truck or a van and what's just something at the bottom, we've developed those skills fast, and we're very good at it. I know in some of the cases that we solved, numerous other people have searched those bodies of water and have not found the person, and we went in and we were able to find them. So we're very skilled at that part of it, and we have such a good system that we could go into an area and just absolutely light that area up.
Mhm. And you mentioned a mom and daughter that have been missing here in Florida since 1974, and you were able to solve that case. Talk about that a little bit for us.
Yeah, the Karen and Doris worst case, they were reported missing on November 1st, 1974, after failing to return to their home. They were living at the Sunshine City Mobile Home Park at the time in Plantation. And they were driving a red and white 1961 Chevy Impala. Her husband, Chris, Doris's husband, Chris, reported him missing. My wife and daughter are missing. I don't, he wasn't really a suspect. They know that he was he wasn't living in Florida at the time. And the case went cold. I know that it was reopened so many other years. We started on that case in June of 2023. It took us, I think, 13 months to finally crack that one. We just kept searching all the bodies of water from her mobile home park into town because, if you go the other side, you're heading out into the glades. So we just kept coming, into Plantation. Um, and yeah, we hit pay dirt. We found her 1961
Mhm.
Impala in a canal, 4.3 miles from her home, and the windows were all rolled up in that vehicle. Luckily, because it was almost like a time capsule from 1972. I mean, all baby Karen. She was 3 years old at the time. All her little toys were in the back seat. There was a hole in the roof, and I remember when we dove in the vehicle, I was looking through this hole in the roof. They all come in. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yes, yes, we got
Okay,
you.
yeah, sorry, I had a phone call come in,
Uh-huh.
and I was sorry. I was looking through a hole in the roof, and I can see what looked like a briefcase on the back seat. I reached in, grabbed it, and come to find out it was a Fisher Price desktop toy to teach the kids, alphabets and alphabet. And yeah, it was a very emotional moment. I think that was at me and my brother said that was little baby Karen speaking to us, saying, "You found me," and the police were able to recover the baby's remains along with the mom's. And I know that Doris's DNA has already been confirmed. We're still waiting on baby Karen. Obviously, she was a lot smaller, and the DNA is a little more complicated when it
Yeah.
comes to that. But I had the pleasure of talking to Chris. He's now 86 years old. He's still alive, and he called me up and he's like, "You found my little girl," and I said, "Yeah, yes, sir." I mean, emotional conversation, and
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just the impact you have, and especially with a child involved. It was
Yeah.
it was a different type of case.
Yeah. And I know that you are a volunteer organization. So anyone watching this who wants to support your mission, what is the best way?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a GoFundMe on our website. If you scroll all the way down the bottom, for the most part, we're a self-funded organization. So all of our volunteers, we pay for all our Airbnbs, we pay for all the equipment. We do this out of the goodness of our heart, and it's our way of giving back to the community. But anytime we get donations through that GoFundMe, it goes straight towards our Airbnb costs when we travel throughout the state. We got a big trip coming up here in January, a 4-day trip on January 9th. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to be working cases in Palm Beach County, Broward County, and Miami-Dade County. I think we got like 7 cases. And these are cases we've been working on for the last 2 years. We just keep chipping away at them.
All right. Well, Mike Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us. This has been fascinating, and thank you so much for all of the wonderful work you're doing. I know the community appreciates it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We are going to take a short break. And when we get back, we're going to talk to News 6 anchor Lisa Bell with some tips on how to reach your financial resolutions for 2025. And we will also have a check of your very chilly forecast. Stay with us. We're back in 2 minutes. I'm Julie Broughton. It is 12:44. Welcome back to Take 6. We're seeing a beautiful, cool Friday today. We'll have a check of your full forecast for you coming up in just a moment. But first, as promised, I know a lot of you are probably making your New Year's resolutions, including some financial goals for 2025. So to talk more about that is our friend News 6 anchor Lisa Bell. And Lisa, we talked about this a little bit yesterday on TV. Not necessarily financial resolutions, but you like to make just general resolutions for other people. So I feel
That's
like,
right.
have you come up with mine yet?
I'm still crafting some of those,
Okay.
but I did speak with CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger, and I think what she said is good advice for everyone. You included, myself
Yes.
included, Julie, and what she said. So, for 16 years now, Fidelity Investments has been conducting this survey. And one of the top things, apparently, two-thirds of people said they wanted to get their finances in better shape in the new year, right? Don't we all?
Hmm.
But she said for the first time, some 80% of people said that they wanted to focus on building up their emergency reserve fund, which that is different from in years past. And I asked her, why is that an issue this year? And she really thinks it's tied to the inflation that we've been dealing with. A lot of people dipped into their emergency fund just to make ends meet over the past year or couple of years. And so they're hoping and their goal for this year is to try and build that up. But where do you begin, right? Because already it seems like our budgets are stretched so thin. And so it was interesting talking to her. She said the one thing which she admitted this sounded sacrilegious is to look at what you are putting away for retirement and maybe scaling that back if you're contributing to your 401k and contributing just whatever your company matches, maybe not necessarily above and beyond that, and using that excess money to either pay off credit card debt or also have an emergency fund. And of course, we know that the advice is to have 6 to 12 months in an
Yeah.
emergency fund to cover you. And she said one of the things, that we've kind of taken for granted is this robust job market, and people have felt kind of secure in their jobs and in their income. And she says, we will have a recession. We don't know when, but that will happen. And so you need to prepare for that.
And when you talk about 6 to 12 months of expenses saved up, that can just seem so overwhelming, especially, a lot of people are dealing with debt. And you mentioned retirement. I feel like there are so many aspects that, again, it's like you need tangible steps of, okay, do I pay off debt? Do I contribute to savings? Where do I even start?
Her advice was to pay off the credit cards. It's kind of, you want to do both, right? You need to have an emergency fund. So, and the other thing she said is don't just say, oh, I want to get my finances in order in 2025. You need to have concrete, specific goals. What are you going to do? You need to have a game plan. And so if you do not have an emergency fund, if you have no money set aside in savings, you need to start looking at your finances, see where can you cut. If it's not just day-to-day expenses, then maybe it is contributing to your 401k and getting some money set aside in a savings account. So God forbid there's some type of emergency or you need that money, you can access some
Mhm.
money and then focus on those credit cards. And if you can do both at the same time, do that, but have those concrete goals, whether it's
Mhm.
I'm going to save $20 a week or I'm going to save $100 a week, whatever it might be, and put that aside. And then once you have those numbers that you can work toward, then you can start chipping away at those goals.
Yeah, and I like that, the concrete goals. You and I talked about this. I saw on TikTok one day and it blew my mind that $27 a day is $10,000 a year. And, thinking about, I know a lot of us can easily, think about how we blow $27 a day on Amazon or at coffee shops or whatever. So I think breaking it down to, like you said, those smaller steps can really help you conceptualize, okay, this is doable. And those little things do actually add up.
Or even smaller than that. I mean, you can break it down even further. $2.70 a day. That's now $1,000 a year. If you have zero saved in an emergency fund, that $1,000 set aside could really be the difference between getting your car repaired, making
Hmm.
your rent, paying your bills, whatever it might be. So look for those ways. I know a lot of people say, well, I do cut back or I have cut back or I don't, go out to eat as much or I don't do this. Um, there are probably always other things that we can do to try and save some money. And if that is your resolution for this year, those two things, having that emergency fund, getting rid of those credit cards as soon as possible, then start focusing
Hmm.
on beefing up your retirement savings.
Yes. So, Lisa, we're excited to see much more of your conversation with Jill
Yes,
Schlesinger.
I
When can we
love
see
talking
it?
to Jill.
I
It's
know
going to
you
be on
guys
today
talk
at
like every week.
5:30.
Okay.
I know we've become, well, you and I are always besties, but
Yeah.
she needs to be brought into our group. She
Yes.
asked me, it's apparently very cold in New York City right
Hmm.
now. I told her it was cold here. She wanted to know if we were all wearing our furs. I said, I don't know if anyone in Florida has a fur. I guess some people do.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it is going to get pretty cold here, but I don't think we're talking New York cold. So probably
breaking out our
won't.
fur coats.
Yes, our faux fur.
Of
We're faux
course.
fur around here. All right,
Yes.
Lisa, we will see more of your conversation at 5:30, and I'll see you back at
Sounds
our
good.
desks here in just a few minutes.
All right.
Let's go ahead and get a check of your forecast. We are talking about cooler weather. It is already here, and we're tracking a series of fronts that will continue to reinforce that chilly air in place. Here's a look at our satellite and radar imagery for us. Very little cloud cover out there, so nearly full sunshine, but that sunshine isn't heating us up too much. Here's how we started the day. Now, you'll recall that in Marion County, you had frost advisories for central and western Marion County this morning. In Ocala, your low today was 33. You started out at 38 in the Villages, 45 in Orlando, and it was 50 this morning in Cocoa Beach. Right now, we are still in the 50s in Palm Coast. You're at 59 up there in Flagler County, 63 in Kissimmee, and it is 64 right now in Cape Canaveral. Here's a look at our next front. As we roll the clock for you, you can see that's going to continue sweeping through during the late afternoon and early evening hours. So it drops to our south by around 10 o'clock tonight. High pressure slides in behind that, and that will keep us clear and dry for the weekend. Now, here's what we're expecting overnight tonight. Pretty similar to what we saw this morning. 37 tomorrow morning in Ocala, 39 in Palm Coast, and 46 for your overnight low tonight in Mico. 7-day forecast showing our highs today go to 66 degrees, 63 tomorrow. Now, Sunday will be in the low 40s in Orlando. I think we could see quite a bit of frost, especially across our northern interior spots. But Sunday, our winds shift a little bit. We go in the low 70s. Mild on Monday with some isolated showers as a very strong front comes through. And that will bring us lows for Wednesday and Thursday in Orlando in the 30s. That means we could see 20s for northern interior spots. We'll talk much more about your full forecast for you coming up starting on News 6 at 4. I will see you then. Thanks so much for stopping by Take 6. If you have any questions or comments for us at Take 6, head to clickorlando.com/Take 6. Let us know what's on your mind, and I'll see you at 4.